Welcome back everyone to another episode of Shade TV. My name is Marissa Hill and today we are going to be taking a look at another collaboration with SALEHE BEMBURY and Crocs. This time, the first time I guess on the channel, we'll be covering the Crocs Pollex slide, and this is in the Tashmoo Oceanic Blue colorway. Let's take a quick sneak peek. To another unboxing and review. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome in. Today we'll be going over the SALEHE BEMBURY collaboration with Crocs on the Crocs Pollex slide in the Tashmoo Oceanic Blue colorway. So we'll go through the overview of these, jump into size and fit, followed by how I style this pop of blue. Then we will conclude with how these are currently doing on the resale market. Let's jump right into it. So for those of you who have consistently been hardcore fans of SALEHE BEMBURY's collaborations he's done in the past with Crocs on the Pollex Croc or I guess clog, this is probably something you definitely wanted to test and try out. This is my first time copying a pair. There was an initial release prior to this, which was in an orange colorway. I wasn't as big of a fan of the orange, so I actually waited for this blue. And I was surprised, honestly, when I got these in hand, because a lot of the images that I saw on the web showed that this was a much brighter toned blue. And this is actually more of a pale hued blue color scheme. So I'm not quite sure what happened with the lighting when they took images of these, but it made it seem like it was almost more of a bold blue colorway. But this is definitely an easier accented blue, I feel like, to kind of mix and mash into your wardrobe just because it's more subdued in tone. As far as the pattern goes, again, this is very similar to what you saw on the clog, except because this is a slide, you're getting a little bit less of that print on the top, but this is fully covered in this muted blue tone. You're getting that same tone on the interior of the slide, and this is where we're seeing that dual branding of Crocs and SALEHE BEMBURY. And then we've got the sizing on the inside as well. Other than that, not a lot really going on, but I do love that we've got this texture so that it does keep your foot from really sliding, especially if you're planning on wearing this barefoot or even with socks. You may be slipping and sliding if this was just a smooth texture, but instead you do have something to kind of keep your foot into place. As we work our way to the bottom of the slide, we've got the Crocs SALEHE BEMBURY branding as well on the inner portion of the medial side of the slide itself. And then we've got this lighter, more aquamarine kind of blue shade for that thumbprint on the bottom of the outsole, and that pretty much completes this slide. All right, so now let's talk about sizing. I feel like slides are and can be all over the place depending on what brand you decide to go with. Again, this was my first time unboxing this pair. I decided to kind of base it off of the clog variation just because I really missed when I went with the size range. I decided to go up instead of down. I, again, would highly recommend sizing down on this one. So I went with a, I guess, true size in my women's size range, which is a woman's 9, but this is a 7 in men's, I feel like this definitely gives me a little bit of extra space, so I don't feel like it's too big or too small. Definitely was the perfect size range for myself. So I didn't go with a 7.5 since they don't have half size variations. If I'd gone with an 8, I feel like it would have been way too big. So definitely I would recommend sizing down on this one, as you do have extra space when you put your foot inside of the slide itself. All right, so now let's jump into styling. Again, slides are definitely a great option for the summertime, specifically here in New York because it is so hot. This is something I was excited about just because I've really been out wearing, I feel like, my Yeezy Slides, and I feel like I needed to just transition to something different. As far as this colorway goes, again, it's more of a muted blue tone, so I decided to keep my looks pretty simple since this is pretty much a potent colorway. It's definitely going to stand out from your pieces that you decide to style with it. For the first look, I wore a gray tank and some light denim jeans. Second look, I decided to wear a gray nylon top with some just simple matte black zippers, and then I wore a matching nylon skirt in that gray tone. I feel like gray is definitely a very complementary color for this blue hue. For the last and final look, I really wanted to dress this up, and I tried to find something that kind of coordinated with the exact blue hue, but I found it was very hard. So I feel like the romper that was satin that I decided to go with is the closest match I could find. But definitely feel like you could really dress these up if you wanted to, and I had fun with that last look for the satin romper.
Here waiting for someone else to fill the void in me, a harsh reality. And I've heard you're with someone else, while I'm here by myself, holding on to what you left. Was it all in my head when you said you love me? 'Cause no one can love me better than you did, and I'm still not over it. Did you forget I put you before me? Memories haunting me knowing you gave it up instead. You did. Was it all just in my head? I'm worried that it all meant nothing. I'm worried that you don't miss me too. I'm worried that I'll never find someone to replace you. And I've heard you're with someone else, while I'm here by myself, holding on to what you left. Was it all in my head?
All right, so now let's talk about how much these retailed at. So these are definitely a little bit cheaper than the clogs, which is kind of exciting. So these retailed at $70. They're currently, depending on your size range, some are going slightly below the retail price point, but some are also going as high as $130. But if you're a fan of the SALEHE BEMBURY clogs, definitely give these a shot. I think this is a really cool looking slide. It's different. They're pretty comfortable for the most part. I definitely have been wearing these with socks, but definitely a great slide that you don't need to have socks with necessarily. But overall, really love this colorway and how it came out. But as far as it goes, that is it for this unboxing and review. My name is Marissa Hill. This is Shea TV. We will catch you on the next episode.
When you said you love